From the White House to the Hill to the bus stop, everyone in Washington was talking about one subject this week, RG3.
When I do know the extent of the injury, I'll let you know.
Redskins star rookie quarterback Robert Griffin III had a total reconstruction of his right knee this week. By far, it was the most discussed topic inside Washington. Nina, last week you talked about your fears of injury.
Of him specifically. This is a guy who'd already had a concussion, and they played him. And he'd already had a knee injury, and they played him. They played him before the playoff. I mean, this is gladiator land. It's my problem with football. We had a football player, former football player, who had committed suicide, Junior Seau, and his family asked NIH to look at his brain, and he had, deteriorating brain from the autopsy. That was the conclusion. We know this is a problem in the NFL. It's more than a problem. It is really horrible.
Colby, Mike Shanahan, the coach, to be held accountable?
Well, he's a coach. He makes a decision that stops with him, and sure, you can point to him and say he should have taken him out of the game, should not have kept him in there. It's done. Now you have to concentrate on the rookie quarterback Cousins and get him ready for next year, and give RG3 time to rehabilitate himself, as long as he needs it. We can spend a lot of time on this, but the nature of the sport is injury. I came out of the game in high school, left because of a knee injury. My son had the same kind of injury in high school and had surgery. It's not baseball. It's not tennis. It's a different kind of sport. It's a contact sport.
Evan.
What makes this hard is that he wasn't just another athlete. He's a great guy, and the city fell in love because of his person, because he's well-spoken, because he's intelligent, and so it's added to the pathos. But the fact is, it's a rough game, and people get terribly hurt, and that's been always true, and it's never going to change.
Charles, medical, athletic, give us your say.
Look, football, somebody once said, isn't a contact sport. Square dancing is a contact sport. It's a collision sport. At high speed, very heavy men, heavier, stronger than ever. It's the nature of the game, and the NFL is going to have a problem with all these suits. In the end, it's going to be the lawsuits, the lawyers, the concussions, and in the end are going to question the very existence of the game.
Speaking of sports, Nina, tell us, I mean, what do you think will happen to football in its future?
Well, it's really hard to know because people love their football. It is the most popular sport. But it does remind me of boxing. In the in the earlier part of the mid-20th century, boxing was the sport. People loved it, and it sort of went away because of the damage it was doing to boxers. And this is the purpose in football is not just to have contact and to knock somebody down. It's to hurt that person. And I don't know how long people will like that and tolerate it, but increasingly it's in our faces.
Well, what's already happening is a class divide. The upper middle class and the middle classes are giving up on football. Mothers are not letting their kids go out to get their brains scrambled. That's already happening. But poorer kids, it's still the ticket out. If you're a poor black kid in Florida and you really are fast, that's your ticket out. So there's going to be I think an increasing class divide here.
It's one of the reasons that soccer now is sort of the sport of choice. But I think Nina is right about boxing, and what happened, I think, was Muhammad Ali. This was this great, magnificent athlete, engaging in everything. And now, as a result of the boxing and what we called the courage he showed in the fights he had, where he took a punishment. Early in his career, he didn't because he was that good. And then he showed courage, and the result is that he's got Parkinson's. And we saw with RG3, he showed tremendous courage. He demanded to go out there. He said to his coach, I deserve this, I've earned it. He went out there. But, a coach in his 60s ought to overrule a 20-year-old who says he wants to do that. In the end, you might have that same effect in football when you begin to see the later-to-life injuries and the deterioration and the pain.
That said, most people participate in football and manage to get out alive, and they don't end up killing themselves. If you go, and kids don't play football in the city to get out of anything. They play football because they like to play football. Football also can give you a scholarship to college where you can get an education. You go around this region and you don't have exclusively African Americans playing football. You go into the suburban areas and you see a lot of white kids playing football as well. Sure, soccer is very popular now, and it's coming on even in the District of Columbia. But I don't accept the class argument that soccer necessarily attracts middle and upper income kids. Globally, soccer is a #1 sport, and it's played in all countries of the world.
Could I give a tip of the hat to the Washington Nationals, who did this right?
Baseball team.
Baseball team. They had Steven Salzberg, their star pitcher. He had surgery. He did 20 games. He wanted to go in desperately. His father wanted him to go in. But they stopped him, and they were contenders. I mean, they were contenders for the national championship, and they may have lost because he wasn't there. And they said, no, it will be dangerous for you. You are an important, you have a life. We invested in you. You don't go play anymore this year.
Charles, any discussion of sports, though, does involve drugs. I mean, at some point.
Yeah, and we saw a remarkable event this week where nobody, for the first time in 50 years, was voted into the Baseball Hall of Fame, even though they had the best pitcher probably ever who was up, and Roger Clemens, and Barry Bonds, who was one of the three greatest hitters ever. And they got something like 38% of the vote where you need 75. And it was a message: you cheated, you augmented all of your powers, you're not going to get in. And they may never get in. I think it's a message, and it's a good one, I think.
Last word, Charles. That's it for this week. Tune in again next time for Inside Washington.